Well, now it's time for the hubs. My name is Peter Kramer. I am the coordinator of the German Gaia-X hub. If you've been paying attention the last couple of years, I've done this a couple of times already. So this year I've brought reinforcements. With me on stage and moderating this panel will be Jelle. Jelle, if you might introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, so I'm Jelle Hoedemakers, the coordinator of the Belgian Gaia-X hub. The Belgian Gaia-X hub is coordinated by Agoria, which is the industry federation for the technology industry in Belgium. And we have support of our Federal Ministry of Economy and Infrastructure. So yeah, we will be moderating this panel today, but of course you see we're not here alone. We brought our fellow colleagues, our other hub coordinators, our team, as I can maybe say. We're trying to make Gaia-X happen also at the local level.
That is right. Jelle and I are chairing the working group Hubs in the Data Space and Business Committee, and we are trying today to paint a picture of what it is actually that hubs do. And I think it's a good way to start this with one of the older hubs. Peter from the Netherlands, why don't you go ahead and tell us why do we need Gaia-X hubs?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Peter Verkoelen, and on behalf of TNO, I'm managing the Dutch hub, as Peter explained. A few elements that we focus on. You heard already about the SCSN Lighthouse case this morning, where we also tried the label concept, how that works in that specific use case. We are very active in the Structura-X project, so that's two examples where we are busy at the moment, I would say. And yeah, if you look, it has been said already several times, what we try to do within Gaia-X, that has really to be, let's say, bidirectional, things that happen at the association level and that come down to the local ecosystems, but also the other way around, organizing the local ecosystem and making sure that all the things that we can come up with, let's say, are translated to generic developments, and where we create also international developments. So that's where the hubs are for, to create a local ecosystem, to make sure that we instigate new use cases, new projects. And I think also there is in that setting up, as a final remark for this round, in that setting up of the ecosystem, it's also about working together. So it was mentioned yesterday and today various times that we have to avoid silos, that we have to work together, that we cannot be in isolation. And that's also what we're doing in the Netherlands, bringing together various initiatives. You heard iShare yesterday, all kinds of data sharing related initiatives, and really making one let's say, environment, one setting of that, because, and then also working together with, for instance, the Data Spaces Support Center to really collaborate and reinforce strength with one another.
So yeah, I think if we really want to set up this cross-border European collaboration, the approach will have to be decentralized. Maybe, Marine, could you elaborate a bit of your views on that?
Yes, well, good afternoon, everybody. So I am Marie de Sury, the French coordinator of the Gaia-X. And I am also a mission director in SIGREF. So SIGREF is a French non-profit association of large companies and public administrations, all users of digital services and solutions. And the SIGREF's mission is to help its member to master and integrate digital technology. So if I have to summarize in one sentence the mission of the hubs, the national Gaia-X hubs, the main objective of the hub is to incubate data spaces with a significant impact in European and national economy. So data spaces is a new topic for many of us, and there is a lot of teaching to be done in order to make companies, public administration, research laboratories, and academies to understand what a data space is, and also to assess the value they can get from Gaia-X. So the national Gaia-X hubs raise awareness of Gaia-X and bring together and bring together stakeholders, national stakeholders, from different sectors of activity, and such as finance, health, education and skills and so on, and make each sectorial working groups think of what data sharing can bring to their business or answer to their challenges and issues. So it is easier to identify the right stakeholders at the national scale and to use the existing network most efficiently. And once the vision of the working group of a sectorial has been developed and the use cases have been identified, then the hub shares it with the other hubs and with Gaia-X and make the stakeholders talk with its peers at the European level, because sharing and working at the European level is key to ensure the convergence and the vision. So to summarize, the National Gaia-X Hub are the voice at the local ecosystem to leverage the potential and the opportunities of data economy at the national level and at the European level.
Well, I think that's exactly the right point to make. We are not Kevin Costner. This is not Field of Dreams. We cannot build it and they will come. We'll have to, well, build on the shoulders of the giants that came before us. And I'm really curious, Anssi, how are you doing this in Finland? Do you think, how much does it make sense to use the local communities first? What's your opinion on that?
So I'm Anssi Komulainen from the Finnish Innovation Fund, Sitra, and with the coordination of the Finnish Hub. We believe in the power of experimentation, and the Hub is really focused in understanding the business value of Gaia-X and data sharing from a business point of view. And to give you a couple of examples, for example, at the moment we are experimenting with Finnair and Finavia, which is the airport operator, and the FinTraffic ecosystem to optimize and really like make cargo operations in an airport more efficient. And these are companies who have international aspirations, but they choose to do the experimentation in Finland and scale. Another example would be the ESG CO2 hub that we have in Finland, where Saint-Gobain, which is an international building company, and a Finnish company called Vastu Group are building a system to map a CO2 emission in built environment. And even though Saint-Gobain is an international company, they chose to do the experimentation in Finland. And in both of these two cases, we believe that having these small experimentations to validate business value would be really difficult to orchestrate in an international level. But in a national level, we have the benefit of people knowing each other and the trust that has been created by organic connections and people working together for a longer time. And with this trust, we can do the validation. But then when you start to scale, then you need organizations like Gaia-X and trust networks and trust mechanisms that we are creating in Gaia-X, and of course interoperability. And then that's the time and the way to scale these innovations in a European and global scale. So I think that's the beautiful interplay of local and wider Gaia-X community.
Okay, next question is maybe for Martina. So can you explain to us what is Slovakia's attitude towards Gaia-X and the values that it represents?
Yeah, thank you, Jule. My name is Martina Legal-Maláková. I am from Slovakia. I represent Gaia-X Hub Slovakia. And we established Gaia-X Hub Slovakia on Industry Innovation Cluster, and we are supported by Ministry of Informatization and Regional Development. Slovakia, yeah, it is not Slovenia, it's Slovakia. It's always important. What I want to add, what Marin said, it is already about cooperation. We don't speak only about cooperation, we do it, really we do it. Already today, I validated one project that a lot of hubs are already involved, and I could say that weekly we try to make a consortia, make the project, make the use cases, and I underline the word project, because we are already in the project, and the strongness of these hubs, Gaia-X hubs, is that we understand what is data space. It is a little advantage, and really we could help the companies, the ecosystem, the SMEs to be a partner, to be involved in Gaia-X. If I may to add, I think it's really important that we speak about European cooperation, and we couldn't forget the other countries in Europe. It is, for Slovakia, really important, because we are a member of Gaia-X at a very early stage. So we understand that for the Slovakia as a little country, it's really important to be part of this European project and initiatives. And I'd like to have a wish that also the headquarters from the big companies understand that in each European country there is a potential of innovation, the potential of the people, the potential of the talent. For example, if I may, the last sentence, the last message is about Slovakia. My name is Martina Legal-Malakova. I am French and I am Slovak. We have 4 women as a representative of hubs. We have Finland, we have Spain, we have Slovakia, and we have France. And if you see, for these 4 women, we have 2 French and 2 Slovak. So it is 50% of women are Slovak. Okay, thank you.
Tagging on to what you just said about raising awareness and getting the headquarters on board, I think one of the most important issues is raising awareness about what Gaia-X and what it stands for actually entails in terms of digital sovereignty and the value it brings. And I think we need to bring to the market the realization that sovereignty and everything that comes with it, it's not a self-service. So, Helmut, about awareness, it has to change that only 6% of the companies in Germany, at least, only know about Gaia-X. What are you doing in Austria to remedy that?
I mean, it was already discussed at the previous session. That's a very crucial issue which we should not oversee and not forget, to complement all the very impressive and powerful work which is already done by the ISBL organization and all together here. But don't forget, Gaia-X is, as a starting point, a blank term, doesn't mean anything. Now, what we want to do together now is, on the one hand, to give this term a strategic brand. People have to understand, like a brand, what does it mean in a first glance? They have to have a picture in their head. It's not yet there. At the same time, we try to explain quite complex technical systems, infrastructures, services, and then also at the same time, disruptive business impacts. Everything at the same time to a very not harmonized stakeholder group. So we have business people, technical people. Basically, it's a not really easy manageable job. Otherwise, you have a big worldwide global industry behind it, and we're talking a lot of marketing money, as it was done 20, 30 years ago when we invented internet and broadband internet. It happened the same, interactive TV, all these terms. So the only way that we can achieve this now, for the moment, is that we build a strong community that in all our member states, or in all the member states in all the countries which are concerned with Gaia-X, really to help to support this technology transformation, business transformation into the market. And for that, we need local voices. We need understanding of the cultural status of the region, whether it's more business, more technology, more policy-driven. Only local actors can understand this. You cannot do it top-down from somewhere in the world. So I think it's a very crucial function of the hubs just to act as a first clan as ambassador, as a marketing, as a business developer, explaining terms, terminology, concepts, and bringing people on the table. And they only will come on the table when they understand it. So, and that's the starting point, that industry actors, companies, SMEs, larger one, policymakers, politicians, data owners, that they are really on the table and contributing to our amazing objective, changing something in a completely different way. So I think that's a very crucial role, that we have effective and working hubs. And I have the pleasure and the honor to represent the Austrian hub. And from the very beginning on, we started to include nearly everybody. So have a very strong and broad stakeholder group discussion that everybody is really supporting it. But I will highlight this in my second question.
All right. Yeah, you referenced a lot of things that hubs are. I'll give you some more. We're antennas for Gaia-X. We're local touch points. So basically, we have quite a huge job. But maybe now to you, Pablo. So yeah, you also are representing the hub in Spain. Could you maybe elaborate a bit on how you tackle the information dissemination?
Yes, definitely. The hubs are crucial for dissemination, and I would like to point the difference between communication and dissemination. Communication can be done from Gaia-X Europe. This is a good example of communication, but dissemination must be done at local level. And at that point, hubs are the tool for do that. Why? For sure, we speak the same language, important thing. But more important is that we have the same culture. We know this culture, these business rules. We know the territory. So at the end, dissemination, this creation of confidence, trust on what Gaia-X can provide to the business is a question of working close with the companies and the stakeholders. So basically, from Spain, we are using this approach and trying to communicate that directly and with local examples of value chains and for sure with the support of the experience of other hubs, also of the lighthouse projects of Gaia-X, because these are real examples, but always translating these real examples beyond to real cases in our local and country experiences.
Yeah, if I can maybe add a bit to that, because I see it as well as one of my daily tasks. We have to avoid confusion. I speak with a lot of SMEs in Belgium, and for example, a manufacturer of something like an oil pump, it was referenced today. If you put him here in the room, he doesn't really understand anything about what is going on. There is so much happening within Gaia-X, within data spaces. You have a lot of funding, you have the Lighthouse project starting up. So from my experience, what we basically often need to do is take these companies by the hand, look at what is their specific situation, and then help and try to identify where are now the opportunities. And I think this, let's say, evangelization on Gaia-X and data spaces is a huge task. It's also therefore that in Belgium, we recently decided to set up a new project with IMEC, who is also a Gaia-X member, to create a sort of Belgian data spaces hub, to have an even more broader platform to disseminate all this information and have one common language. I think Martina wants to add something.
Yeah, thank you, Ele. Exactly, we heard about trust, about companies, about that we have to take their hands. It's completely true. And I think we have to see Gaia-X as a positive tool for our future. Why? Because we heard about the situation, what is, we have a war in Ukraine, we are after COVID pandemic, we have a big inflation and all kinds of things. The people in the companies are frustrated, demotivated, they are a little bit lost, they don't want to to continue working. And I think for the companies and for us, Gaia-X could be exactly that we could try to believe in our future, because data space and data economy is our future. So thank you maybe to see Gaia-X also as this.
I think it's absolutely true. And in my daytime job, I'm coordinator of the German Gaia-X Hub. In my nighttime job, I'm heading the Department for Technological Sovereignty and Industrial Value Added at ACATEC, which is the German National Academy of Science and Engineering. And I think it's really important to always keep this in mind, that you have to speak with these people on eye level. Most of the things that have been said here today and on yesterday's panels, they are very far removed from who are the main stakeholders of the European economy, which are small and medium enterprises. And even that term differs very, very much from country to country. A small and medium enterprise in Germany is probably one of the bigger companies in other European member states. So the idea that we need to speak people on their own terms, I think this was one of the core ideas behind setting up the Gaia-X hubs in Europe. And in 2020, at the Gaia-X Summit, we announced that a French and a German Gaia-X hub would be founded. And Marine, if you would give us a little bit of an excursion into how you set it up in France, that would be interesting.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, in fact, it's the French Ministry of Economy who asked us, SIGREF, to be involved in the Franco-German discussion to build Gaia-X since November 2019. And the purpose by asking SIGREF to do this was to represent the interest of digital services companies' users and to meet their needs, because, well, Gaia-X is business-driven. So we have then regularly provided information to the French, to France, and there are some stakeholders from sectors such as finance, education and skills, energy, who ask us to launch a sectorial working group. So the hub organizes collective intelligence workshop to make them think of what they can get from data sharing in a trusted and secure way, with AI, analytical, computational capabilities that foster innovation. And the Hub France has also organized plenary session, like in many other hubs. And so the idea was to share Gaia-X actuality and also share the work of the sectorial working group. And such event have triggered the reflection of new sectors, and I was very happy of the launch today of the French Gaia-X hub. And today in the French Gaia-X hubs, we incubate 11 working groups, and almost most of them are working at the European level now.
All right. Yeah, I think it's super interesting to see if we look towards this hub landscape that we have here. I think we can say that all these hubs are created in a sort of different way. There are different types of organizations which are coordinating different modes for operationalizing the hubs. But it's interesting that still, given this context, we really managed to work together quite well at the European level. But yeah, to get some maybe more insights on how to operationalize a hub, Peter, could you maybe give the approach that you take in the Netherlands?
Yeah, in the Netherlands we started because the Ministry of Economic Affairs asked TNO to start up the hub, and that is because TNO has a lot of knowledge and a lot of involvement in, let's say, data sharing and data infrastructure projects. We saw already SCSN, there are projects in health, in logistics, in energy, but also there's a Cloud Federation testbed, so also on the infrastructure side. So we started to elaborate on that actually. And then now the next step is to really bring together all the, I mean, the Netherlands is only a small country, but there are tens and maybe more than 100 initiatives around data sharing on a national level, on a regional level, on a sectoral level. So bringing them really together and also let them work together. So let's say one information dissemination platform, that's nice, but for me that's only the first step. In the end, we want a situation where people work together, and when something is realized, then in the next project you use what has been realized instead of saying, well, that's nice, good luck with it, and now I'll take a new piece of white paper and a fresh pencil and I will start over again. And that has been perfect for, let's say, experimenting and learning, etc. But if we want to scale up, let's say, cross silos and also internationally, yeah, then really we need this joint approach, so to say. And that's on a local level. It's also obviously on a level where we work together internationally and locally. And you see that in the projects. The Gaia-X SCSN connection was mentioned earlier today. You see it also in events. We are now looking at a big event, 21st to 23rd of March, with IDSA, with Gaia-X, with TNO, with the hubs, to really bring things together instead of saying, oh, there's something here and there's something here and there's something there, and it's all very nice. So this integration, this really working together, and then sometimes you have to let go. You have to give a little bit of compromise, but in the end, jointly working is much more successful than being on your own in this very small island.
All right, super. Maybe next, Helmut, one for you again. So you're, let's say, one of the more recent Gaia-X hub, but I can say that the setup that you've done is quite impressive already. You really took a head start. Can you give us maybe some insight on how to select and work together with certain coordinating partners for the hub?
As in my previous statement already highlighted, it's very crucial, since it's such a broad project and challenge, that, and as you said, nobody can do it on an island. We have to create a critical mass of actors. So I'm very, very proud and also very lucky that we achieved a very strong support from our national administrations, from our government point of view. So on the one hand, our Ministry for Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Innovation and Technology is strongly supporting this initiative because, as Lily Mosnik already mentioned before in the previous session, that many big questions, big issues like digital transformation, like climate change and all this stuff can be supported and solved by such big initiatives what we are doing here. So it's a very crucial starting point that we're working together. As a second supporter, we have a State Secretary for Digitalization, which is also supporting it. So with this strong background, political background, nearly the Austrian society is requested to act. And what we did as an operational next step is, since it has an impact to service providers, to manufacturers, to SMEs, to industries, to everybody. So we started with intensive discussion. It took some time, but I think it's worthwhile and it's valuable, very much valuable, to take this time to bring as much as possible in an effective way the largest possibility of community together. So we built at the end a kind of management platform, a management board, where basically nearly all the stakeholders are really involved. We have the open source initiatives, we have the IT industry in there, we have city representatives in there, and of course also the media is in there, is included. And as a kind of office, just to be able to act more quickly, and as we already mentioned with TNO, also we decided to give a mandate to AIT, to the Austrian Institute of Technology, which is the largest applied research center in Austria, which has a lot of basic background knowledge since we are involved in many European projects, so we have a strong starting point from scratch, bringing knowledge and experience. and we can also act from operational point of view to bring the community together. It's much easier. So starting on this Austrian national initiative as a next plan, which is we are just underway, since it's so important to extend our capabilities and to share views and knowledges together with Martina from Slovakia, since we are close a little bit around with our neighboring states, we want to increase also the question about transporter use cases and corporations. And here we plan to work closer together to help each other and to bring also perhaps more improved and a better contribution to the European discussions. So I'm very much looking forward to the next phase of our work. Thank you very much.
Ansi, how's Finland doing it? That was a quick question.
So the way we've set up is, so we have a team, a core team at Citra. So the first thing we did, we kind of like tried to understand what is our offering, what's our portfolio of services, and then we divided the work and the roles based on that. So we have a business designer, Denny Wong, who is here in the room as well, to look after the value proposition. Then we have an architect, Joki Poikola, who many of us know, to look at the technology side. Then we have Denisa Mäki, who's over there, who's looking after the kind of the ecosystem and trying to facilitate the working groups in their work. Then we have Johanna Kippo, who is the communication person, who is trying to make sure that information flows. Then we have Erja Lintunen, who is the person who makes sure that everything works smoothly. And there's me, who is probably trying to set up a direction and pave the way so that everybody else has the best possible conditions to do their work. But as we are an ecosystem and a network, equally important is the kind of like the stakeholder group. And in order to engage with the stakeholder group, we have a function called task force. In the task force, we have all the leaders of the working groups. We have 8 working groups in Finland who kind of like gather with us twice in a month, and also some of the key institutions who are there to support them in their work. For example, VTT, who is testing the Gaia-X technologies and then advising the ecosystem with their findings, and Business Finland, who are looking after the funding, and some other actors. So altogether, it is a core function of a team who is trying to push the network, but we really want to see us as a network that has a core and then plenty of companies interested, and it's all about the use cases and the companies who are engaged as a network. So it is a big mess in the end, but a nice thing to orchestrate.
Thank you, Ansi. Already the final question for this panel. It's to Pablo here, to my right. Also quite a basic question. How do you think that you and the Spanish Gaia-X Hub can contribute to the success of Gaia-X?
Basically, contributing to the construction of the European Union of the data economy that Francesco presented yesterday in the State of the Union. What it means, basically, to make real things and to share this knowledge, this experience with the other hubs, with the European Association. And what are real things? Basically use cases, and Spain has a lot to contribute. For example, with regards to use cases in tourism, in health, in agriculture, due to these are very relevant verticals in our country. And second, sharing and contributing also to the technology development of the ecosystem. Spain, there are also relevant actors, technology providers, yes, leading also European initiatives. So it is a question to sum up, to add, and not to make a fragmentation.
All right, super concise. Oh, of course, Martin.
So I just wanted to add something. So I think it's really important that the data spaces are developed on a European scale. So Gaia-X must be enriched by the diversity of its members in its work and also in its data spaces. So the collective work of bringing together views at the European level to achieve a common and shared objective within a data space takes time, but the time spent getting to know each other, working together, is essential for building strong foundations. And in the end, it allows us to go further with a greater impact. So hence the importance of the hubs, which facilitates the dialogue.
All right. Maybe to end the panel, I'd like to ask my co-host Peter. Peter, I recently heard that people only tend to remember 3 things. So maybe as an end and to put it on top of the minds of the people here, could you briefly summarize what are the hubs and what do we do?
Yeah, I was about to summarize this for the few people in the room that have slept through the last 45 minutes. 3 main tasks for Gaia-X hubs. First one is communicate efficiently what Gaia-X is into the communities that you're representing. On an eye-to-eye level, in the same language, and be the first person that anyone calls when they have a question. Second, build on the shoulders of the giants that came before you. You don't necessarily have to build everything from scratch. You can and have to identify the projects that align with what Gaia-X is doing. We very well know that we're not reinventing the wheel here, but we need to make sure that everything that is happening with the same goal is aligned. And the third one is, well, we need to make sure that these communities and ecosystems that are already existing, that they converge together and build something that adds additional value to what it is that they are already doing. And the Gaia-X hubs, in my personal opinion, are the best place to do that because it's a low threshold entry into the Gaia-X ecosystem and thus into a data economy and the creation of universal data-driven business models. And I think it's important to always keep this in mind that, well, we're not doing this because we get paid to do it, we're doing it because it's a really worthwhile effort and a great case. So, with that being said, we're going to step off the stage. I would like to thank those that were on the stage with us here today. Thank you very much, but also, of course, to those that are not here today. There's a lot more Gaia-X hubs. We have 15 in Europe and 3 outside of it, and we are continuing to grow this ecosystem, and it's going to be a pleasure to continue to support this. So thank you for your attention, and see you next time.